Christine Sweeney. I'm excited here to tell you today about some enhancement we made to our EDI processing. I think you're really going to enjoy what we've done because we're going to add a lot more flexibility and efficiency to your ability to take data from your customer via a load tender and then send them back information in a 990 EDI acceptance, a 214 load status, or a 210 load invoice. So let's get to it and show you what we got. So here I'm in the TMS admin. I'm on the EDI location. And for those of you who are already processing EDI, you're probably familiar with this, but we've taken the EDI load references and now really expanded that. So specifically what we've done is we've added a direction on there so that you can specify inbound, outbound, or both, as well as we've added the ability for you to take these references from the reference segments in your 204s and map them to Revenova fields. So previously they would just load onto your EDI load reference on a load, but now you're going to be able to specify a field. So let's walk this one through so you can see what that means. So here I'm on my EDI location. I've got a direction. I can determine outbound, meaning I just want to send it to my customer. Inbound, I just want to receive it from my customer, or both. I want to send it and I receive it. Then we have the load object. So this is a load field that I'm going to receive. I want it to go into this custom field I built, which is the Christine custom load reference. You can use either a package field or a custom field as I've done here on the load in order to add that. And then it knows what field to map it from based on the LR type in your 204 reference. So when we take a look at the 204, I'll quickly show that to you. But that LR reference means take the data that's contained in that segment, put it on the load in the Christine custom load reference. This mapping can happen on 3 objects. We've got the load, the stop, and the line item. And again, you can specify the fields. So you set this up, and don't worry, I'm going to quickly show it to you, but the documentation when we release this will be out there for you to have more detail. But basically, you're going to go to the EDI load reference object and add your fields here, making sure to use the API name. And then you also have to map that field to the object, right? Because that pick list won't know which object it belongs to. So you simply double click and that will put it on the correct object. And that's what drives that pick list here of load, stop, line item, knowing from that object which one it should be. So I have on this particular EDI location, I have 4 mappings. I have one for the load, meaning I'm going to receive it from the customer and send it to the customer. I have one on the stop, which is outbound only. That means that your operations team, when after they receive a 204, can add information that the customer needs in their system as part of that reference. And I'll show that to you in a minute. Here we've got the both. Again, I want to send it and receive it. And then the last one is inbound only. It's a reference my customer is going to send me. They don't need it back in the EDI messaging, but I want it for my reporting or for my documents. So let's take a look at how this happens. The first step is, like I said, the 204. So for those of you who are familiar with this, this is the reference section I was referring to. That type here has to match what you've done on the EDI location so that it knows to take this value, load reference inbound and outbound, and place that in Revenova on the field that I've created. So if we now go back to our field in our load, we should expect to see that field that I just showed you on the load, which is right here, right? So we can see that now instead of just showing on the EDI references, this is now actually appearing as a field. Similarly, I have a line item field, which is going to do the same thing. Remember, that was an inbound only. So if I take a look at this one, here we can see I have my line item inbound reference only. And then in the interest of time, I've gone ahead here and created the outbound only stop reference so that when we're now about to look at that EDI message, we can see that it's there. So let's take a look at our EDI tab. Here we're in our EDI tab, and I've set these up already just so we could take a quick look. But previously, like I said, all of that information would only appear here on the load references. Now we can see it's loading into the system, so don't worry, those references will still appear here. But let's take a look at one of these messages to see how it's working. Okay, now remember, I had set this up for a stop level outbound only, and then I have a load reference inbound and outbound. So let's take a look, and here you can see, again, my type LR. I've got my load reference, and then if we go down to my stop, so here I'm within the stop, you can see my load reference here, outbound stop only. So now you can see the power and the ability to configure your messages for exactly what your customer is looking for. You're still going to use your van to do customer specific mapping, but this will allow you to add information that might not be part of our standard, send, load, invoice, send, load, status messages. We've also enhanced our EDI messaging to add some fields that previously weren't standardly mapped. So we now have on the incoming 204 fields for equipment type, fields for PO, bill of lading number, order number, or hazmat contact. So here in that load that we were just looking at, we can see that my equipment type loaded, the dry van 53. I have a PO number down here, a standard PO. It will be able to handle multiple POs. It will just comma separate them. So instead now of having those as references, load references, they're now specific fields. So make sure to check out the new schema for those XMLs with the additional fields. We've highlighted the changes for you. We've also added to the 214s your load status's stop number on both incoming and outgoing messages. On incoming 214 load status messages, we've added time zone, long lat, as well as the event code so that you can see what was received. And then lastly, on the 214 outgoing, we've changed the trigger for that message to go if either date or time on appointment time has changed. So a lot of flexibility and functionality in what we've done here with our EDI. And please, take a look at the documentation because that will go through a lot more detail on this. Thanks everybody for listening, and more importantly, thanks everybody for submitting all of your CRs. They are so beneficial in helping us build our roadmap, design the software so that it really can be the best it can be for you. So keep those great ideas coming. We really appreciate them.